News came down today that the Black News Channel, the Black Targeted Cable Network that was launched a couple of years ago, is shutting down. They aired their last newscast on last night. Now, knew this thing was coming because this email was sent out yesterday to all the staff with regards to pay. So pull up the email showing the pay, please. Thank you. Pull it up. Thank you. Pull it up. That email went out. BNC staff, the March 25th payroll deposit will be delayed. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. We are actively working to resolve this matter quickly and will advise you with an update as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. I got the email yesterday. A number of people were calling, people were texting, they were sending all kinds of different comments. And I said to different people, I said, I want to help y'all out. This sounds to me like you're about to get shut down. This morning, woke up, folks had not had their deposits placed, then began to make phone calls. And then I reached out to the CEO of the network, let him know that I was going to be posting something, posting that note on social media. He told me, quote, I'm working hard to get people paid for the work that they've done as Prince O'Hare, the CEO of Black News Channel. That was around 11 a.m. It was a couple of hours later that, again, the Los Angeles Times broke the story saying they were shutting down. Then, around 3 p.m. or so, Prince O'Hare sent this letter to the entire staff announcing the shutdown of the network. So this is what he wrote. A little more than 2 years ago, the lights on BEC's cameras flipped on for the first time. Despite the challenges of a global pandemic, we launched a groundbreaking mission to inject positive change into a news landscape that, for far too long, had underserved and overlooked Black and brown people. During the past few months, we have endured very painful workforce reductions at all levels of the network as we work to achieve our financial goal of a break-even business. This has forced all of you to do more with less, and your contributions have been remarkable. Unfortunately, due to challenging market conditions and global financial pressures, we've been unable to meet our financial goals, and the timeline afforded to us has run out. It's with a broken heart that I am letting you all know that, effective immediately, BNC will cease live production and file for bankruptcy. We're sad and disappointed by this reality and recognize the stress that this puts on you and your families. With the nation on the verge of a social justice reckoning not seen in this country since the civil rights era, we've been hard at work building our presence in the marketplace with unprecedented speed. Through a continuous run of distribution agreements on both linear and streaming platforms, BNC's accessibility has grown to reach more than 250 million touch points. Since rebranding and relaunching the network a year ago, we have developed a 17-hour daily block of live programming and a lineup of shows that are outstanding. Every day we present our stories, context, and viewpoints that illuminate and celebrate the Black experience in a way that no other network has since the dawn of television. We have hired more than 250 Black journalists and Black production personnel, and all your hard work and dedication has lifted this network to incredible heights. There have been countless wins along the way, including gavel-to-gavel coverage of several trials that gripped our community, A-list guests throughout our day parts, and exclusive coverage of the Congressional Black Caucus's first ever response to the President's State of the Union address. Just this week, we set an all-time viewership record for the network doing wall-to-wall coverage of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's U.S. Supreme Court confirmation hearings. I understand that this surprising and unfortunate news will naturally generate a lot of questions surrounding next steps. Our leadership team and human resources will be in touch to address them over the coming days and weeks. Please know that I am thankful for all of your hard work and deep commitment to our mission. We have differentiated ourselves, and your achievements over the last 2 years should be an immense source of pride that you will carry throughout the rest of your careers. In the meantime, please take care of yourselves and each other, and remember that we built something great here. BNC, or something very close to it, will surely return at some point because the world needs it, and all of you have proven it can be done. Sincerely, Princell Hare. All right, folks, so let me unpack this so you can understand what went on here. BNC actually launched. They made the announcement in 2019. Former Congressman J.C. Watts, it was his vision to launch a Black news cable network. He had been trying to do this for more than a decade. And he and I communicated in March of 2018 because I'd asked him what was the state of it, and he said that investors were going through the process of vetting their financials, and then it was later that year, probably around December, when they actually began to close on it, and then they announced they were going to be launching. They kept having the date pushed back and pushed back. They didn't launch until really February 2020. But a major investor did come in, Shahid Khan, the Pakistani-American billionaire who is the owner of the NFL Jacksonville Jaguars. He came in and invested $50 million into Black News Channel, thus becoming the majority shareholder. So Black News Channel went from being a Black-owned cable network to a Black-targeted cable network by virtue of him being the majority owner. This is JC and Shahid Khan talking about the Black News Channel before they launched.
Now the time to launch a TV network focused on the African-American viewer.
Well, Catherine, the Black News Channel is culturally specific to the African-American community. You've got 200 plus stations on any cable system. We are the one location that you can come and find out about wellness, culture, current affairs as it relates to the African-American community. So we launched November 15th of this year, and we're looking forward to creating a venue that African-Americans can find culturally specific issues pertaining to them.
Congrats. Shad, you're an investor in this channel, and I'm wondering, when you looked at this, how do you think that the Black News Channel will compete against news networks that already have the resources?
Well, I think it's going to do real well. To add to what JC was saying, it's specific needs of a community that's really underserved, the African American. It's great for me to be part of it. It's been under planning for a long time, and then to come in and help provide financially so it launches and launches well.
You heard there where J.C. Watts said that they were launching in November of 2019. That got pushed to December, then January, then finally in February. So they launched in February 2020. Well, guess what? After they launched, the co-CEO, Bob Brilliante, he was actually let go. They announced he was moving on to pursue other opportunities, but he was let go from the network. He, of course, launched the Florida News Channel, and of course, he always had his idea of actually doing a black news network. You folks may not realize that when you had Major Broadcasting Cable Network, they had partnered with him to actually do something similar to BNC, and so they did it first. This is a photo. This is a photo. This is a story right here in the Tallahassee newspaper when he stepped down after a couple of months. You see, the story was dated April 13th, 2020. So here's what happened after that. You see that this was their original logo right here. Then they brought in Prince O'Hare, longtime television news executive. He eventually became the CEO, and he led a massive rebranding of the network. You see that logo that's right behind him? That was their new branding. They changed their whole slogan to Truth, and they went through all of these different changes, and then they went on this huge hiring spree, hiring a number of people. You heard in the letter he wrote, they referenced the 250 black journalists and production folks that they hired. Here was the fundamental problem with Black News Channel, because people have been asking me this question: why did this fail? Why is it didn't succeed? What's going on? What's the whole deal here? The reality is this here. It was the absolute worst time to launch a cable network. Why? Because the world had been changing. The cord cutting came in. People began to get rid of cable. And then they began to go towards online. I told J.C. Watts directly, don't launch a linear network. Launch it as a digital network. I said, why? More cost effective. You can grow it faster and larger, and you're not going to be able to spend as much money. Now, why does that matter? A lot of people out there are saying, this ain't right. I mean, this man is a billionaire. He got the money. Y'all, folk who are billionaires ain't in the business of losing money. That ain't what they do. They see what's going on. If you don't see the profit potential, I'm cutting ties. My understanding, for the last 3 months, he's been struggling and not wanting to fund what's been going on. You read the letter where they had the layoffs in December. Those were not enough layoffs. They were burning too much cash. So the first mistake they made was launching a linear network. Now, I need y'all to understand the cable business. You know, the cable business, how it has always worked, you get paid for subscribers. So if you're in 51 million homes, you negotiate the deal where you get 2 cents, 3 cents, 5 cents, a dime, a quarter. You look at $1. The most expensive folks in terms of on cable networks have long been ESPN, Fox News, because the amount of money they get per cable subscriber. So if you have cable television right now, when you look at your bill, you look at how much money in your bill, a significant portion, the largest portion of your bill right now is going to Fox News and ESPN. That's why people start cutting cable. They said cable bills got too high, spending $100, $150, $200 for cable. They said that's enough. The problem for Black News Channel, they were not getting subscription fees. So they were a 100% ad-supported cable network. Well, folks, that subscription fee is a revenue line. That means that you're airing on the network hoping folks are watching. You need to have high numbers so you can actually get advertising. When you don't have high numbers in cable, you get what is called bottom of the barrel advertising, which is direct marketing. What's direct marketing? That's when you're sitting, seeing those commercials with a 1-800 number attached to it, and it's Joe Namath doing some kind of insurance pitch, or Jimmy J.J. Walker. That's direct marketing, folks. Those are the commercials that you're seeing. Those commercials, you get money, it's a low amount of money. So those were the majority of the advertisers that were on the network. They were only averaging, a few months ago, 4,000 viewers in an hour. Now, the numbers begin to improve, begin to go up around 10,000 this week because of the confirmation hearings is their best ever numbers, And so, but guess what? It got cut. Now, you're watching and you might be saying, wait a minute, this guy Shahid Khan, he put in $50 million. My goodness, how in the world is it they somehow could not solve this thing and figure it out? Let me unpack that as well, folks. I need y'all to understand the economics. There's a whole bunch of people been tweeting me all day. I don't understand why this couldn't work. I don't know why couldn't some black celebrities get together and buy it? Why couldn't Byron Allen buy it? Y'all, if a billionaire Shahid Khan cut ties, why in the hell would Byron Allen or somebody else do it? Now, I was told that Byron Allen did offer $30 million to buy the network. Khan did not accept that. He wanted $100 million. Why? He'd already put in $50 million. But even at $30 million, really didn't make any sense because Byron could simply take that money and put 10 or 15 million in his Griot channel and the Griot website, build up their news side, and you don't have to assume all the debt from the Black News Channel. Second thing is, you were not big enough from a marketing standpoint. A lot of people said, I never heard of the Black News Channel. You didn't see billboards and commercial and digital ads. You didn't see a major social media presence. That costs money. So let me tell y'all what went on. Now, I did have some negotiations with them. When Bob Brilliante was co-CEO of the network, they approached me about hosting a show on the Black News Channel. We met here, did a conference call, we met here in DC. This is a true story, y'all. I've never told this publicly. People who know me personally, I've discussed this offline. They met with me and they wanted me to host a primetime show, 30 minutes, which first of all made no sense whatsoever. You don't host a 30-minute damn show, you do the whole hour. It's a 24-hour network. If you do a 30-minute show, you gotta put another 30-minute show behind it. But that made no sense. So they wanted me to host a 30-minute show, and they were gonna have Larry Elder follow me, and they offered me $85,000 to host a 30-minute show. And then they wanted me to also utilize my social media, promote the network. I said, I'm not even responding to that offer. I'm sorry, I made $85,000 running Tom Jones' website, blackamericaweb.com in 2001. Do you actually think, after what I've accomplished over the next 18 years, I'm gonna take $85,000? Hell no. So I told them I'm not taking that offer. And so I said, if y'all wanna be serious, y'all come back and holler at me. So they never did. Princell came in, they never called as well, and I was fine. I told them, we're just fine here at Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network. My employees have always gotten paid on time, never been late, not even 1 minute, and we've been in the black since the 14th month we've been in operation, so we're good. So they spend all of this money here beyond going linear, and then you talking about not going digital. When Princell came in, I know Princell very well, years in the National Association of Black Journalists, but he made some fatal mistakes. The biggest mistake, he hired way too many people at high salaries, and that caused them to have way too much money going out of the door and not coming into the company. You simply have to be able to control your expenses when it comes to your revenue, otherwise you're going to be DOA. Now let me show y'all something I need y'all to understand when we talk about the business of the business. Because see, too many of y'all, I've seen y'all tweets and y'all comments, y'all get enamored with the content. Let me explain something to y'all. The content don't mean nothing if ain't nobody watching. The content don't mean nothing if ain't nobody buying. Now, y'all need to understand, I was one of the first folks to work for TV One. In fact, what y'all may not realize is when Jonathan Rogers met with Alfred Liggins at the cable show in New Orleans to talk about launching TV One, Jonathan had drinks with me before he had drinks with Alfred. I walked him over to his meeting with Alfred. When Jonathan closed the deal to become the first CEO of TV One, I got the phone call. TV One's name hadn't even been decided yet. And Jonathan said, your voice is needed, I'm gonna bring you on, but I need some time to do so. So let me explain to y'all something. This is how much Jonathan Rogers had to build TV One in the first 4 years. $130 million. I'm right here on my iPad. He had $130 million to spend to build TV One over the first 4 years, okay? $130 million. Now, y'all heard what I said. How much was the investment of Khan? Now, you also had other investors. So probably the total investment for Black News Channel was likely this, $60 million. $60 million. Now, you go, wait a minute, hold up. 60 million? Which means if you got a 5-year plan, bro, this is real simple. The only thing you could spend per year is that, $10 million. That's not what happened. They hired all these people. They had crews all around the country. They brought in a number of high-paid hosts, high-paid executive producers. And I understand why Prince Hale wanted to do that, because you wanted to have a strong look and you wanted to compete. But let me explain something to you, folks. Competing means nothing if you don't exist. You can look good for a short while, but it means nothing if you go out of business. Now, you might ask, well, why does that, have we heard that before? Yep. Y'all ever heard of something called New TV? New Urban Entertainment TV? Yeah, you may not remember that. New Urban Entertainment TV was a black cable network that came out in the early 2000s. Go to my pad, please. This is a story from Multi-Channel News. They survived about 3 years. They were really operational for 2 years. You had Dennis Brownlee was the founder. You had Quincy Jones was involved. There was another official who used to be with AT&T. He was involved. They had $15 million when they raised. You know what they did? Launched a news show. They covered Tom Joyner's wedding to Donna Richardson Joyner. Had all this sort of content. Here was the problem. Go back to the article. Here was the problem. They were in only 2 million households. They were spending money. Wasn't nobody watching. Y'all, guess who was one of the investors in New TV? Radio One. That's what led Alfred Liggins to say, hey, we should launch our own network. So what people need to understand is, if you do not get, you're not getting subscription fees, you're DOA, which means you better control your cost to ensure that you're going to be able to survive. If you do not survive, then you are dead. They simply had too many people. They were doing live shots from different places that made no sense whatsoever. You have to maximize your expenses and maximize your revenue. They had too much money going out of the door, not enough money going in. You can look great, but no advertiser is going to give you money, no real advertiser, if you only have 4,000 people watching. The other thing is they didn't have deep pockets. Let me explain something to y'all. Let me pull this up so y'all can understand. Brian Roberts, who is the CEO of Comcast, said point blank on a conference call the other day that Peacock, now y'all know Peacock, right? The network that NBC launched. Do y'all know, don't show it yet, but do y'all understand how much money Peacock lost last year? Go to my iPad. Last year, Peacock, the new streaming network of NBC, lost $1.7 billion in 2021. $1.7 billion. Y'all, in the same article, he said, come right here, go back. For 2022, Comcast expects Peacock losses to total about $2.5 billion as its investment in content doubles. Now, you're watching and you're like, whoa, hold up. Y'all lost $1.7 billion last year, and y'all gonna lose $2.5 billion this year? Y'all, they publicly traded. They market cap exceeds $100 billion. They say we can absorb the losses now because what we're actually trying to build towards. Black News Channel had one billionaire who put in 50 million. This is something you need to understand. You cannot keep up with the Joneses. They were trying to do CNN and MSNBC type news. You can't compete against people who are making, in the case of MSNBC, 700 million in profit. CNN is making $1 billion in profit. Fox News is making 1.5 billion in profit. Now, some of y'all are watching me right now, and y'all are sitting here saying, oh, Roland, I feel you, but, you in competition, you hating. No, let me further unpack this for y'all who are watching. My first paid job was at the Houston Defender, black-owned newspaper. I wrote for the Dallas Weekly, the Dallas Examiner, black-owned newspaper. I was the managing editor of the Dallas Weekly, black-owned newspaper. I was managing editor of the Houston Defender, black-owned newspaper. I was editor of Tom Joyner's website, blackamericaweb.com, black-owned website. I was a news editor at Savoy Magazine, run by Vanguard Media, black-owned magazine. Then later became the executive editor and later general manager of the Chicago Defender, black-owned newspaper. I produced the election special for a major broadcasting cable network, black-owned. 13 years at TV One, black-owned. 11 years, Tom Joyner Morning Show, black-owned. I'm trying to explain to you the business of the business. This is something that I used to say, and as a matter of fact, I freaked out Alfred Liggins when he said this at the TCA when we launched launched News One Now. We were the Television Press Critics Tour in California, and I said to all the press critics, they said, Roland, you're launching this morning show on TV One. How are you going to compete with Good Morning America and the other morning shows? And I said, I'm not. They go, I'm sorry, what do you mean? I said, I'm not. I can't compete with them. The Today Show car budget is bigger than my budget. I said, but here's something that the Today Show cannot do. They cannot out-black me. They said, whoa, and even Alfred went, whoa, I've never heard that. I said, well, you're hearing it now. When I ran the Chicago Defender, I couldn't compete with the Chicago Tribune and Chicago Sun-Times. Couldn't. They had way more money and resources. But they couldn't out-black me. See, what out-black me means is, when there's a news story, you can't out-black me. I'm gonna lock and load on that story. So you might ask, well, Roland, what should a black news channel have done? First and foremost, you should not have had programming running from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. that was live. It's a total waste of money because frankly, nobody was watching. It's a waste of resources. Your focus should have been solely on building your primetime hours, 7 p.m. to 11. That's 4 shows. That's 4 hours. You then run those shows 2 more times in the 24-hour period. That means that those 4 shows now take up 12 hours of your 24-hour block. What you then do is take advantage of free content such as congressional hearings, which you're allowed to use by fair use, even though C-SPAN shows them, because the cable contract says they have to provide that free to anybody who wants to use it. You also go acquire very inexpensive documentaries, and you put together a programming schedule, and you methodically build your network by watching your dollars. So if you had $50 million and you say, listen up, we're only spending $10 million this year. Folks like, yeah, but no, I don't want to hear it. When I was at TV One, had a brother, he used to work at BET. He was like, man, we got to go do this. If this was BET, we were at ABC. I said, stop, we ain't at ABC. So don't tell me what ABC will be doing and how much they will be spending because we ain't at ABC. Now see, some of y'all watching right now, let me explain to you how you don't get caught up in running with the Joneses. Do y'all see this table right here? Y'all see this table right here? This was one of the original tables we used on the show. Kelly remembers. She used to come into the studio. This was one of the tables she would sit behind. The black chair I sit in, this was our set. We had 4 of these tables and 4 chairs. You know why? We couldn't afford no damn set. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't spending a crazy amount of money. So you know what I did? I waited. Did I want a news desk? Yes. Could I afford a news desk? No. So what happened? By the second year, take the shot, Henry. We bought this. It cost us $8,000. We couldn't afford it in the first year. Hello. Come back. We're now in a new studio, 5,200 square feet, 5 different sets. I couldn't afford that. I couldn't afford the robotic cameras, but we methodically built. That's what Black News Channel did not do. They did not conserve their resources to methodically build. They tried to grow too fast. Pull up the letter that Prince-Sale wrote. And he said it in the letter. Go to page 2 and then page 3. The letter from Prince-Sale. He said it. We grew at a remarkable, what does it say? We've been hard at work building our presence in the marketplace with unprecedented speed. You spent too much money, Princell. You did. Khan is a businessman. He was not going to put another $25 million into a venture that was going to keep losing money. Now, a lot of people were talking about, there was a whole lot of issues in terms of what were they going to do. People have not been getting paid because today was payday. Before I came on the air, I got a phone call that they did get him to verbally commit to pay all of the employees through today's pay period, which meant for the folks who ran the last 2 weeks, they're going to get paid. This tweet by Mark Lamont Hill was posted before that happened. This tweet went up. Go ahead and show it. This tweet here went up. You see at 4:47 p.m. That Khan was refusing to give people their paychecks today. Hundreds of employees, many of whom already took significant pay cuts, are now being denied money they've already worked for. Khan, a billionaire, simply says he doesn't want to pay it. That was at 4:47 p.m. I got the phone call, y'all, at 6 p.m. that Khan agreed to actually pay the employees. So that is happening. What I need people to, I'm going to close this way, what I need people to understand, because somebody asked me, well, how's Univision and Telemundo successful? First and foremost, Univision ain't an American network. Univision is seen throughout the entire Spanish-speaking world. Telemundo, same thing. You cannot make the comparison. I need folks to understand that also how you build a network, you have to be able to manage your finances and understand how to grow it. Even though people think you're going to get millions of people watching a show, that's not it. On an absolutely fantastic, unbelievable, crazy day, we would have 130,000 total people watching News One now. 130,000. I don't think we ever hit total 150,000 viewers. We were in 58 million homes, y'all. We had 52 Radio 1 stations promoting TV One. The marketplace that you are in changes. It dictates how you're able to grow. So I'm just going to put this in context so you can understand, folks, again here. Because again, remember, y'all, I did it. I just want everybody to understand. You looking at the only, outside of BNC, before BNC launched, you're looking at the only African-American who hosted for 4 years a Sunday morning show on TV One. Was it live? No. We taped it on Friday. Why? It was cheaper and more cost effective. You're looking at, before BNC, the only black person who had a daily morning show on a black-owned network for 4 years. So that's for 8 years, y'all, from 2009 to 2017, September 2009 to December 2017, where I had the experience of how do you compete in a marketplace with a show on a black-owned network. And so it's understanding how you methodically build it. Now, I had one of my staffers said this to me, and a person who used to work for me, and she wanted a raise. And she said that she felt that she deserved to get $65,000. And I said, you're right, but not here. She's like, what do you mean? I said, a company can only pay you according to the revenue that they bring in. You might think you're worth $65,000. You probably are, but not here. You have to go to a place that can actually pay you $65,000. The position that I have for you can only pay you $45,000. That ain't right. It's business because you're not the only employee. So when you look at the number of people they hired, and I know many of those people, but they overpaid. They were spending too much money. That's why they had to shut down today. Y'all, this is business. And what we have to understand is you do not throw bad money at something that is not succeeding. And that's hard because the idea of a black cable news network is important. But if you cannot pay for it, it doesn't exist. What is the point of lasting 2 years when you want to last 20 or 200? The cable landscape is littered with wonderful ideas that failed because the business plan could not sustain itself. So you're sitting here going, well, I don't understand, Roland. How are you still in business? You know why? I check the account every day. I manage every dollar. Don't tell me you lost the remote to the Roku. Find the damn remote. I'm not about to spend another $20 to go pay for it, because that's $20 that I gotta pay. Also, if somebody's sitting here going, oh man, we did $3 million in revenue and we made an $800,000 profit, you should give everybody bonuses. So what happens next year? We have an economic downturn and advertising goes down. How am I gonna pay you? So right now, this is 2022, I'm already thinking about how I'm going to pay all of my employees and pay my rent in 2024. Folks, this was business. And again, you can't get so locked in to a great idea if you can't pay for it. And so there are going to be a number of stories that are done about what happened. And by the way, TV One, we had $130 million. Diddy's Revolt, they had $65 million. And one of the reasons they struggled in this first several years, they were undercapitalized. Diddy wrote his letter talking about that in the whole Byron Allen lawsuit, where he talked about also they didn't have the distribution. What came with distribution? Sub fees. So folks, this is the business of the business. And so there are people without jobs. Lots of talent out there. There's still opportunity. But I want folks to understand, can this notion succeed? Can this idea of a black news network work? The answer is yes. It can work, but it has to be done right. You must be managing all dollars. I was a contributor for CNN. I got no problem telling y'all this. When I left CNN as a contributor, I was getting paid $285,000. I walked in at $250,000. BNC was paying contributors. How? I'm telling y'all right now, I have no problem being transparent. I would love to send Kelly, Michael, and Matt a check to be on my panel every week. But let me tell you right now, if I did, we would not be standing here 6 months from now. When I ran the Chicago Defender, this is the last story I'll tell before I go to the panel, then I got guests that are waiting, and I thank you for being patient who are waiting. When I ran the Chicago Defender, y'all, the Chicago Defender had not made a profit in 20 years. They had lost money for 20 consecutive years. Their expenses were being covered by the Michigan Chronicle, the Tri-State Defender in Memphis, and the Pittsburgh Courier. Those publishers were pissed that their profit was going to pay for the Defender. And so when I got to Chicago, we were in this massive building. And it was a building that they had been in since the 1950s when John Sinstack was the publisher. It was the building that we were in when we became a daily newspaper. And all of these black people in Chicago were going, man, we've got to save the building. This is a historic building. Do you know what it means? You had the black historian, he just passed, his name escapes me right now. He just died. And he did an interview in front of the Defender. He was tearing me to shreds because I was talking about moving the Chicago Defender out of that building somewhere else. I listened to him. And I said, if we had to refurbish the building, we were only using 10% of the building. If we had to refurbish the building, it would cost $7 to $9 million to refurbish the building. The entire company wasn't worth $7 million. So I said, y'all got to make a decision, Chicago, Black Chicago. Y'all want to save the paper or save the building? You got to pick. Yes, I moved the paper to a new building to save it. We lost money my first year. We made a $100,000 profit my second year. We made a $400,000 profit my third year. That's business. Black-owned media can be successful, but it's also about building it. Black News Channel was black targeted. But now y'all understand, I hope, why y'all hear me talking about black-owned advertising. Why y'all hear me talking about why we should get our fair share of the $1 billion the federal government spends every year on advertising. Now I hope you understand why I fight so hard to get our fair share of the $322 billion being spent every single year on advertising that black-owned media gets 0.5 to 1%. Folks, can there be a black-owned media network that is thriving and successful? Yes. Are we trying to build it at the Black Star Network? Yes. But do understand, I will not try to act like I'm at the Palm restaurant when all I got is Golden Corral money. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take my behind to the Golden Corral and go enjoy that meal. And then one day I'm gonna tell my staff, I'm gonna take all y'all out to dinner at the Palm restaurant. But what we not gonna do is go to the Palm restaurant today and then I'm telling y'all how great it was when we were together because ain't nobody having any jobs. This is business. And people are hurting and I totally get it. But the bottom line is there were some strategic mistakes made by the folks at Black News Channel that led to today's decision. Let's hope others don't make the same mistake. My next guest, hold on one second. I do want folks to go right ahead and weigh in. I'll start with you, Michael Imhotep.
Well, Roland, first of all, you just gave what we call in business school, we would call these case studies. You just gave a case study on an African-American media company, okay, African-American targeted media company. So that was fantastic what you just broke down. And, you know, I watched the Black News Channel. I know a lot of the people on there. And I think it was last Friday on your show, I talked about how your YouTube views are much greater than their YouTube views. So that was something I was noticing, and there was a disconnect. And then I'm looking at the content. They had good content, but I'm looking at the low YouTube views for most of their videos. Most videos don't get more than probably 2,000 views. Most of their videos. Then also, I remember it was some months ago, it talked about how out of 124 cable stations, they were like second from last, something like that.
Yeah,
so,
second from last. They were tied with one of Byron Allen's cable networks. I think one of his cable networks. Yeah, they were averaging 4,000 viewers in prime time.
Yep. You know, so I have respect for J.C. Watts for what he was attempting to do. You know, I may disagree with him here and there. I have respect for what he was trying to do. Hopefully, something, this channel, I've been rolling with you since like 2016, Roland, since I used to guest host your nationally syndicated radio show. So hopefully something else will come along. Streaming is the future, okay? And, you know, lastly, Peacock losing $1.7 billion, man, I'm in the wrong business. I mean, you got $1.7 billion to lose.
Yeah, and again, and keep in mind, Nexstar flipped WGN America to launch News Nation, a cable network, and they're losing millions as well, but they're publicly traded, and they can afford that. When you have a sole investor, you have to protect every single dollar. Let me go to Kelly. Kelly?
First and foremost, thank you for this masterclass on, you know, communication strategy and business management. I mean, it was phenomenal. And you were absolutely right in everything you said. But the moral of the story here really is to just minimize your expenses and maximize your revenue. And BNC did not do that very well, if at all. And this is what happens when you don't do that. You bite off more than you can chew. And you just, you fail, you know, in every sense of the word in this regard. Like they did have wonderful numbers when it came to the confirmation hearings this week.
It's too late.
But that's not enough to carry a news station.
Yep.
Like you said, like you need to really be cognizant of how you spend your money and stop comparing yourself to stations and networks that are decades in the making. Like CNN was not built in a day.
Nope.
CNN wasn't even built in 3 years.
Nope.
So you have to take that into consideration when you're building anything, let alone a network. They could have done so many other things that would have been far more impactful than what they did, and still would be here today had they done those things. They could have started off in YouTube. They could have started off in TikTok. They could have started not in the middle of a pandemic, you know? And
actually, you know what? No. See, here's where, again, I totally hear what you just said. And again, to my next guest, seriously, I'm sorry, but I got to say this here. I'm just going to be perfectly honest with you. We were averaging around $25,000 a month on YouTube in 2020. And then, in 2019. 2020 hit January to April of 2020, we were averaging anywhere from 18,000 to 25,000. May hit, we hit 78,000. June hit, we hit 85,000. July hit, we hit 88,000. August hit, we hit 95,000. 90,000 in September, 90,000 in October, 95,000 in November, 103,000 in December. That was during COVID. I had cut my staff by 20%. I cut my salary by 75% on April 4th of 2020. I restored 10% of the staff salary in July. I restored the second 10% in August. During COVID, our numbers exploded. But again, and I did not lay off one person, but it was managing your expectations and managing your expenses that allowed me to restore everybody's salary 3 months later and allow us to be able to thrive. And the success financially in 2020 paved the way for us to do $3 million in revenue in 2021. 2021, after the election, our numbers went down on YouTube, but our CPM went up because our time spent watching went up. So just so people understand. And again, we understand when I call it a deconstruction and masterclass. Some of y'all need to understand, because see, all my haters out there, I had to smack them with this here. In 2021, we did 93 million views on YouTube, 92.4 million, 13,677,000 watch hours, 1.27 billion impressions reach, views from the impressions, 56.6 million. On Facebook, we have 313 million video views, 163 second views, 166.9 minute views. We reached 58.5 million people. Again, you have to manage your expectations, and where you want to be year 5, you can't do it in year 1. You got to wait for year 5. Final comment, Kelly, then I'm going to Matt, and then I go to break, then I'm going to my guest. Thank you for being patient. Go ahead.
No, I absolutely agree with you there. What I'm saying is, in your case, what you did was not trying to get on a cable news lineup. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what if they had done what you did in regards to a YouTube streaming format? Then again, like I said, maybe the outcome would have been different and a lot more positive than it is now.
Yep.
When I say like start in the middle of a pandemic, they started in the middle of a pandemic when it was oversaturated in the cable space already.
Yeah.
So that was my point. But
it should have been, if they had gone digital, it would have worked. Matt?
Exactly.
Matt?
I don't know much about media, and I think you've covered, and Kelly and Michael have covered it more than sufficiently. All I'll say is that I hope that this has an opportunity, rather, for the Black Star Network to expand even further, because a number of the people who were on the Black News channel were great personalities and continue to give stories to our people. So I'm hoping that you, being an astute businessman, can find a way to include some of those people in your network, which is doing a very necessary service of keeping our community abreast of what's going on.
Well, this is very simple, folks, and I'm just going to tell you right now, when I ask y'all to stand with us on this is important. Here's the reality. If the federal government is spending $1 billion a year on advertising, if Black-owned media gets 10% of that $1 billion, that's $100 billion. If we get 2% of that 10%, $100 million, it comes out to be $2 million. Now, you got some people out there who are saying, oh, there you go, get money from the federal government. Yeah, white media get money from the federal government on advertising. Why in the hell shouldn't we? Plus, it's taxpayer money, you simpletons. So yes, And if it's $322 billion that's being spent every year on advertising, black-owned media should be getting 10% of $322 billion. How much is that? That is $32.2 billion. Do y'all understand that? That's $32.2 billion that black-owned media would be getting. If we got 2% of the $32.2 billion, guess what? We could actually have a newsroom of 250 people that Black News Channel had, and will be in the black. That's why you have to understand, when I'm breaking this thing down to you, I need all of y'all standing with me and letting every company and ad agency know you better do right by black-owned media, or we're gonna stop buying y'all products. Y'all, this is how we succeed. So don't sit here and cry today about Black News Channel not existing. It's a little hard to exist when you're not getting the money. And in the words of Frank Lucas, an American gangster played by Denzel, I'm gonna get that money. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Hey fam, Patrol Grooming is a black-owned men's grooming company that delivers on this promise every day to men everywhere. Everything we do, every product we make, is designed to help you to present your best self. It's a promise they've kept since 1991 when they first introduced the Bump Patrol brand, the #1 men's product for a smooth, bump-free shave and silky skin. Millions of customers count on their exceptional skincare products, which can be found at more than 30,000 retail stores in more than 50 countries around the world. Now you can have exceptional beard and skincare products that are as unique as you. Fellas, as we prepare to head back out into the world as COVID restrictions are being lifted, it's time to get our groove back. You can visit patrolgrooming.com to order a Patrol Grooming box, and do this, use the discount code #Roland30. That's #ROLAND30 for a 30% discount at the checkout. We appreciate Patrol Grooming being a partner with us here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?